Everybody was here concerned about you, being very supportive and trying to work together to help you. Do you believe any of that?
If Valerie is involved, yes.
Okay, there you go.
No.
That's exactly that's our story. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started then with
I'm sorry for holding you guys up.
That's quite all right. With our Solid Waste Management Authority meeting this Tuesday, August 17th, 2021. And Kara, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Short.
I am finally here.
Commissioner Starkey.
Here.
Commissioner Greeno.
I am here.
Commissioner Tompkins.
Yep, I'm here.
Chair and Score.
I'm here. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would, please. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
To the
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to open up a period of general public comment. Any member of the public can address the Solid Waste Management Authority on any manner on or off our agenda. I do see that we have one person attending here via Zoom. You can hit the raise hand button if you'd like to offer public comment. Kara, did we receive any public comment via email before the meeting?
We did not, and we don't have any now.
All right, then we will close our general public comment and we'll make sure that we provide opportunities for the public to weigh in if there is any on any of our agendized items. Under consent, we have the minutes from July 13th of the director's vacation requests that are noted there. A claim for claim number 9023 to Harshwell and Company for the audit in the amount of $10,500 and a budget transfer in the amount of $33,018. Do we have anything on consent that the commission would like to discuss? Any public comment? Then I'll take a motion to approve consent.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Greeno. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Short. Kara, would you please poll the vote?
Commissioner Short.
Yes.
Commissioner Starkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Greeno.
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins.
Yes.
Chair and Score.
Yes. Very good. The second item on our agenda is the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority. So we're going to adjourn as the Solid Waste Management Authority and reconvene as the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority. Please let the record show that all board members are present. And Mr. Ward, did you want to say anything first? We want to throw it directly to Dominic Mello.
I'd be happy to welcome Dominic Mello, appreciate his service as code enforcement officer, and welcome his report regarding the status of the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority.
All right, welcome to Dominic.
Oh, thank you. Everybody hear me all right?
We can.
Excellent. Okay. So we finally have the stats for the second, third, and fourth quarter. And as you can look through there, we did have a rather kind of busy year for vehicle tows. Nothing excessive on the vehicle, the trailer RV end of it, but quite a few cars. So we ended up finishing the year off there with 71 actual tows and then 19 that resolved themselves after being notice posted. And then we're currently still strong with AVA funds. So things are looking good.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Dominic? All right. Well, Dominic, we sure appreciate you guys staying on top of this, or you, I guess. I'm sure you feel like an army of one and trying to do all of this, but we really appreciate it. I know the community does as well.
No problem. Been getting a lot of support from the different law enforcement agencies, and so things been pretty good lately.
I feel like I should let the board know that this week there is the annual conference of the California Resource Recovery Association, and yesterday I made a presentation regarding illegal dumping, and include many of the programs that Dominic helps us run, including the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority and some of the other programs that we work with Dominic on. But regarding the AVA, there were several communities that said, "How'd you get that formed? What do we do to get that?" not every community has that. So I really appreciate that we do, and I appreciate Dominic's ongoing leadership in
Great. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ted.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you, Dominic. We will receive and
Um,
file your report.
I'd like, Blake.
Oh, yes,
Chair,
Blake, go ahead.
excuse me, Chair. I would like to request that somewhere down the line, we get Dominic to actually put together some kind of a report on just how his vehicle abatement program works. How it works from when the vehicle is abandoned and they discover it to when the vehicle is removed from the county, how that process works. I'd love to see how that works.
That's probably a great idea, Dominic, maybe to work with Mr. Ward from a scheduling standpoint and do a presentation, since we have board members here who probably have never seen a presentation on how the abandoned vehicle abatement process works. So we don't want to burden you with that, but it would be good, I think, for the authority and the public to know how the process works.
Yeah, I'm agreeable to that. I'll work with Ted and we'll get something set up and we'll come
Okay.
back. Yeah.
Great.
All right,
Thanks,
happy to do
Dominic.
that.
Thanks, Mike. That's a great idea. All right. We are going to.
So I think the only action required here is receive and file.
Okay, and we will do so. We're going to go ahead and then adjourn as the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Authority and reconvene as the Solid Waste Management Authority. All members still present. We'll move on to item number 3, which is our director and financial reports. So, Mr. Ward, if you want to start with your report, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair Score. So now highlighting some of the things that are not elsewhere covered in the agenda. Of course, the authority continues to provide our services without a penny of taxes. We provide these services based entirely on service fees, and per ton rates charged at authority managed facilities continue to be the same as or lower than charges at similar facilities in Humboldt and Curry counties. Due to the closures at Last Chance Grade, unfortunately, this past month, we had one day of the Klamath Station that was not open at all. And were it not for the closures on Last Chance Grade, when an employee misses their alarm and oversleeps, we're just closed an hour or so. But in this case, they missed their window when they could travel south to open the facility, and so we were closed all day. We took a number of steps to try to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But I do want to, I take our open hours very seriously, and I want the board to understand that anytime that we're not open when we say we should be open, I always report that back to the board and let you all know what we're doing to try to fix that situation. So it happened. We will strive so that it doesn't happen again in the next year. So moving on to other items. There is now a good deal of momentum looking at the cleanup around the Crescent City Cemetery, possibly on August 28th. There's increasing conversation and coordination amongst the various parties, now including the veterans of foreign wars, as well as Mission Possible in the city of Crescent City. So that looks like the upcoming date. And if there's interest from the public about how they might be able to involve themselves in that cleanup, we'll put out a public service announcement. Looking at compliance and advocacy, it looks like I'm delighted to announce that, and you all probably all know, but the county has hired an assistant CAO in Randy Hooper. And he was recently the director of the Crescent City Airport, but now as an assistant CAO, he will be the point person for SB 1383 compliance. And so that's significant in that we've been requesting that the county adopt a resolution to embrace some of the deferrals that are available under SB 1383. And it looks like they'll be doing that before the end of the month. So good progress on that. We'll continue to work with them. We do not yet have a date scheduled for the hearing of the trespassing ordinance, but we'll try to work on that again in the coming month. Attached to the director's report is a letter you probably all saw essentially explaining the reasons why we did not staff the fair booth, although we continue to be a sponsor. There were a number of reasons why we just wanted to preserve our staff being able to continue providing our services, and we're recognizing the potential for the spread of COVID associated with the fair, so we backed out. And the one other thing I want to make sure everybody's aware of, we do have a scheduled upcoming household hazardous waste event. So that's on Saturday, September 25th from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. That's the day to bring in all of the materials that we don't accept on a daily basis that aren't that are hazardous waste. So, but it's a good reminder to let everybody know that the most common household hazardous waste we do take or try to take every day at the Del Norte County transfer station. So that includes non-aerosol latex and oil-based paint, stains in their original non-leaking containers, household fluorescent tubes and bulbs, televisions and computer monitors, home sharps containers, household cooking oils, fats, and greases, used motor oil that's uncontaminated with antifreeze or other liquids, drained oil filters, old ethylene glycol antifreeze, lead acid batteries, and all household batteries with one-end tape. So we'll take all of those materials every day for no charge at the Del Norte County transfer station. And if those are the materials you have, that's not the right day to bring them into the household hazardous waste event, because that event costs us around $175 per vehicle. So that's the reason. The cost for that event is one of the reasons why we only have it once a year, and we encourage everybody to participate. Furthermore, if you're a business or an agency and you have hazardous materials to manage, there's a special day on the Friday before, on September 24th. We take business waste, but it is for a charge, it's a pass-through charge. But you need to call for an appointment beforehand, and then call at 1-800-433-5060, and they will, when they hear a report of what you intend to bring, they'll give you an estimate of the charges, and then you'll come to an appointment on Friday, September 24th. So that concludes the director's report. I can move on to the financial reports unless the board has any questions.
Just one thing, Mr. Ward, regarding the community cleanup at the cemetery. I think it is unlikely that the city is going to be able to do that by the end of the month. We have struggled significantly with staffing right now, specifically in the Public Works Department. So I would ask that you would make a call to Mr. Weir and discuss that with him. I reached out to Daphne Lambert at Del Norte Mission Possible and gave her a heads up that this might be something that will be a challenge for us to actually accomplish this month. I would like the authority to continue to make those bins available for when it does happen. I'm just not sure that it's feasible to do in the month of August. So,
understood. And I'll continue to work with volunteers as they try to coordinate a day to make it happen.
all right, thank you so much. Any other questions for Director Ward regarding his report before we move on to the financials? All right, let's go ahead and go on to the financials. You did get a supplementary report that fills out the financials. If you didn't get that, you need to check your email real quick. It came in this afternoon as well. Go ahead, Director Ward.
Yeah, I'd be happy to actually cover those supplementals, because one of the things that is significant, I think, is worth noting. We always tend to be busier in the summer months, and so our revenue is up, our customer count's up. But in July, we averaged 267 vehicles per day, which is pretty high. Anytime you're over 250 vehicles a day, it's hopping, and you get towards 300, and there's very little breathing space. So, so averaging 267 customers, things are very busy at Del Norte County. And then looking at the final revenue numbers for fiscal year 2021, we ended up being $197,023 over budget in terms of revenue. And as you all know, I regularly report on our monthly revenues, because that's the easiest financial check to see how we're doing. As long as we're not overspending budget lines, that's all following budget transfers and our revenues coming in at or above budget, we'll be able to pay all our bills. So that seems like a succinct way to keep the board abreast about how our financial situation is doing. So even though our revenues are up, it's important to recognize that this agency started in the red because we have the liabilities associated with the Crescent City landfill and construction expenses at Delaware County Transfer Station. And so we're continuing to slowly move from the red to the black, and hopefully we'll get there in the next couple of years. But it is important to recognize that even though our revenues are up, we're still clawing ourselves out of that red hole. So just looking at July, once again, looking at our monthly revenues, our revenues are ahead of budget. So in terms of our revenues at Delaware County Transfer Station, we're 13,106 ahead of budget. In terms of the franchise fees for July, we're 5,156 ahead of budget. So just for the month of July, we're already 18,263 ahead of budget. So things are looking generally fine in those terms. Moving on to the claims approved by director, you'll see for every month, the largest expense goes to Hambro WSG for the good services they provided to Delaware County Transfer Station. And the second largest expense last month was for servicing the bins down in Klamath. And we appreciate Recology's really nearly superhuman efforts to service the bins down in Klamath with all the last chance grade closures. It's been a significant additional effort on their behalf, and we really appreciate it. Moving on. So I think actually now having covered the supplemental, that now concludes the financial reports. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Ward on the financials?
Yeah, I'd like to, I want to move back to the point that the director made that there's been a heavy traffic load this July. And do you have a sense that this could keep escalating over the years, over the next few years? And would that mean that there would come a time when one scale is just not enough?
Well, it's a really excellent question. And it's an issue we continue to look at. And again, another reason to credit our good crew, not only our gate staff, but also Kathy Brewer, who does the scheduling. And one of the things we found, for instance, is after a busy holiday weekend, it makes the most sense to just schedule 2 people in the gate. And so we regularly have overlapping situations where we'll have 2 staff persons at the gate, and one person will work the inbound scale, the other person will work the exit scale. That'll alternate, and that can help ease those heavy traffic moments or those heavy traffic days. So that's how we're addressing it currently. Worst case, when things really start to ramp up, we'll get to the point one day, I don't know when, there may be some day where we have to more regularly schedule 2 people. But I would still anticipate that even with 2 people at the gate, it'll be a long time before we deplete the capacities of this facility. I don't anticipate a situation where we would need additional scales.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Ward? All right, we'll file the financial reports then, and let's move on into our discussion items. We don't have anything for the landfill post-closure or the collections franchise, but we do have an update regarding transfer station and treated wood waste, which is a good news that we at least have a strategy.
It is good news, and I again, this is another opportunity to credit the good working relationship we have with our staff. But as we were looking and considering our options, we recognized that whenever we told people that we could start taking treated wood waste once again, we would have the pent-up desire of the folks who had done the right thing and set aside their treated wood waste, and they've now got a pile. Right. And so what we don't want to do is say, all right, we can accept up to 5% in mixed loads, and then have people try to put 20% of treated wood waste in their load because they have a lot of it and they're eager to get rid of it. So what we felt like we needed to do in order to address the needs of the community was to, as we announce that we will be able to accept treated wood waste, specifically highlight a day in which customers could bring in the accumulated treated wood waste and we would be able to accept it. Furthermore, because this has been a hardship for our construction contractors and because we've done the best we can to try to provide the service, we want to essentially encourage folks who have done the right thing and set aside this treated wood waste to bring it to the right place and make sure it's properly managed. So I suggest that the authorities should pay that bill. That essentially when we have the single day event to receive the treated wood waste, that the authority pay to have those materials disposed, so that when we are highlighting, you can bring in your treated wood waste on this day, here's how we want you to deliver it. They don't have additional charges. So the 4 recommendations, and I'd be happy to discuss any of the details of this, but that's kind of the overview. So the 4 recommendations that staff are putting before the board for consideration are that we recommend that you direct staff to take the necessary arrangements to accept separated loads of treated wood waste at the Del Norte County Transfer Station as part of the household hazardous waste collection event, either on September 24th or the 25th. We still need to work out some of the details about where that would best fall. But assuming that, it seems like a good time, because that underscores that these are hazardous materials and we want to manage them properly. Number 2, acknowledging the prolonged frustrations associated with not having legal disposal options for treated wood waste and the stockpiles of those materials in Del Norte County awaiting proper disposal, we recommend that the board direct staff to make arrangements to directly pay transport and disposal expenses for separated loads of treated wood waste received from Del Norte customers during the designated treated wood waste collection days. 3, direct staff to issue a press release describing the treated wood waste collection days and the conditions under which treated wood waste can be legally disposed of at authority facilities. And 4, direct staff to continue to work with Hamburg WSG to develop operations plans, permit updates, and a rate ordinance to enact a new service fee for accepting separated loads of treated wood waste. So that's a service that we currently do not have, and it's a rate we do not have. As I've explained previously, it'll take 3 to 4 months to enact a new service rate. And so we won't be able to offer that service soon, but we will be able to take these materials for no charge. So that concludes the overview, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I love this idea. You know, I've been a big fan of it, so I'm very supportive of it. Where are we at with that new legislature that will address kind of some of these issues?
It's in its final committees. It's not yet on the governor's desk.
Okay. And yeah, because he's one of those ones that we just can't trust completely that he's going to go forward if the committees all go for it. Okay. And then should we, again, I'm going back and forth a little bit about the wording, but that received from Del Norte customers during the designated treated wood waste collection days, should we make it a one-time only thing? Because this, or is it, will that be self-explanatory?
We will make that clear, but that's a really excellent question, because the whole idea is we want to deal with the stockpiles.
Yeah.
But once we deal with the stockpiles, we want to set up a structure so that it's not a big deal, that they don't have to stockpile the materials, that we have a regular way that those materials are managed.
Okay.
And once we have the regular way that those materials are managed, it won't be free.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's what I just kind of want to think that's the message that gets out there is, hey, thanks for your patience. We worked through some stuff. We want to offer you something, but it's a one-time deal.
That's right.
I don't know how to say that. So, I mean, I'm sure how you have it worded is fine.
But you absolutely get the concept. That's absolutely what we were thinking of promoting.
All right. I appreciate your hard work on this.
Well, and I appreciate your advocacy as well. It's been a vexing issue across the state, and I appreciate the additional direction that we should just go ahead and get the variance, which we now have. So those people who are listening online, and once we got the variance, we already informed gate staff. If we see a load that has less than 5% treated wood waste, we are not going to block that load any further. But we did want to set up these treated wood waste collection day or collection days, so that as we were telling people, we can take the material again. We're also telling people, and when you have that big pile, here's what you do with it.
Here's your day. Yeah, good.
So just a question about the ordinance that you want to do, put together for the rate for treated wood. Is that going to be just for loads of treated wood when it's brought to the transfer station, if say they have a trailer full of it? Or is that going to apply to whatever the small percentage is that comes in a person's truck with the rest of the garbage?
More the situation you're talking about in the first case. But just to let you know, it's not a small deal because in order to take the treated wood waste, you need to have a separate location. You need to have a separate container. It needs to be under roof. You need to start the day in which you start accumulating that material, and then you have a limited time from the accumulation date until dispose of the material. So essentially, once you set up the treated wood waste program, you've eaten up the interior real estate of the transfer station building that you've dedicated to that service. So it's not a small ask. We're not exactly sure some of the details. We may want to move it into an exterior storage container that's also under roof. But just to give you some insight into the logistics, as we were talking about how we would accept the treated wood waste, one of the things that became clear that Hambro is interested in doing is perhaps receiving the materials in a big pile outside so that they could then more efficiently load the outbound trucks. But we need to work out all the details and make sure all of the agencies that are looking over our shoulder.
Okay, I guess a follow-up question. If a person does come in with that load that has less than 5% treated wood waste in it, are we going to require them to sort that out? Or is it going to just go into the garbage like it's been done in the past? Does the variance cover?
At this point, the variance allows it to be blended in, but okay. I don't know if that will continue under the new legislation. Once the new legislation is passed, the variance expires and we're under that new system.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have an idea, Mr. Ward, of how this is going to play out at Dry Creek?
Yes, we've been in contact with Gary Penning of Dry Creek Landfill, and thankfully the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality has given them approval to receive treated wood waste from California. And so those hoops have been jumped through, and their main criteria is that they need the maximum length of any piece of treated wood waste would be 8 foot long. That's their main.
But they can receive a dedicated load of wood waste then, if assuming we have this, that whether it's this single event and we have a large collection of material come in, or once the ordinance, rate ordinance is in place, I'm assuming that they are able then to take a dedicated load of wood waste, not just a blended load, but an actual dedicated load.
That's correct, sir.
All right, perfect.
Well, I just wanted to say one thing. Thank you, Director Ward, for your hard work on this, as well as your staff's hard work on this. I know that this has been kind of a contentious issue in the past because there hasn't been a place for it. So now we're finally working towards a solution to this problem. So thank you so much for your work on this, as well as Hammer WSG. It looks like they're going to have a variance as well, right?
Oh, we all work together because essentially they operate under our permit. So
okay,
we're on the same team.
So excellent. Good work.
And from, I'm sorry, go ahead, Val.
No, I was just going to make a motion, so go ahead.
I was just going to say that for as far as I'm concerned, $1,100 is a small price to pay to be able to try to help everybody do the right thing. I mean, you know, you just gave us a report that we finished the year $197,000 to the good in revenue, reinvesting $1,100 back into this community. It just seems like such an obvious decision. I mean, you know, for a one-time event, as Val was mentioning, I think that messaging really does need to. We need to make sure people don't think that this is going to be the new hazardous waste day. This is a one-time thing. Bring it all in. We're going to take care of it, and we're going to. But in the future, you're gonna have to dispose of this, and it's part of your responsibility as well as us working together, so.
So just a question on the outreach. Are we going to do radio ads and ads in the paper just to make sure that we get this out, Facebook ads?
We will.
Thank you.
We've already started some of the outreach with respect to the household hazardous waste event. And so the treated wood waste is kind of a different audience, but we will absolutely do outreach on this as well, because we want to make sure that those piles of treated wood have a home and it's the right place.
All right, excellent.
Thank you for asking that, Commissioner Greeno. I was thinking the same thing. Thank you.
Just one more quick question. I'm thinking it's been answered and I missed it, but once we've done this one-time thing, once we have a new a price lined up and a new ordinance and all of that, will we still accept blended loads?
I can't say with 100% confidence that the answer to that would be yes. I suspect strongly that once we establish a rate for separated wood waste, that's the direction we'll go. The strongest hesitation I've seen from the permitting agencies is the way that it's clearly designated a hazardous waste and then being allowed to be blended in with the trash. That's generally something that one doesn't do with hazardous waste. You don't mix the hazardous waste with the regular solid waste. But the treated wood waste has been a construction material that has been blended in, and we haven't seen evidence of significant problems at the dry peat landfill.
And ultimately, until the legislation is passed and done, we're not going to fully know how that's going to play out.
That's right.
I mean, this is still going through committee. So, I mean, the reality is there may be a process by which small loads are allowed. I think we've just got to, what we need to do is what Director Ward is helping us do right now, and that's mitigate the stockpile right now, and then work towards the anticipation of needing to have a rate for this, and then see how it plays out. It's the California legislature, folks. It's not a seamless process. And there's 47 people who might put their signature on this piece of legislation.
I believe Commissioner Starkey wanted to make a motion.
Please do.
I'm done. I'm past that now. No, I'm kidding. It's a long one, so hold on. Do you want me to read it all? Martha, do I have to read it all? Or can I just say I move to approve this item?
You move to approve the staff recommendations would be fine.
Right. I move to approve the staff recommendation on this item.
I'll second that.
And I'm just reading through this again. Is in these recommendations, is the actual cost spelled out in there? Because I think
no, it is not.
So I think if you could add that, Val, if you don't mind, that we also authorize the director to cover the cost of this one-time event.
Right. It's the specific amount that isn't covered because we honestly don't know the amount of material that we'll receive.
Okay. So that I'd like to add what Blake has stated, that we'd like to cover the costs, or we allow the director to cover the costs of this one-time event at an amount to be determined not to exceed $5,000.
There you go.
Okay.
I accept that amendment.
I question though, unfortunately. So when we set the cap though, unfortunately, we don't know how much we're going to receive, and it wouldn't be right to reject the customers if they're bringing the right materials on the right day in the right way. My inclination is to set a really high cap,
Okay.
even though
Well,
we don't want to go over that.
1,100, and she went to 5,000.
And I think if we set it at 10,000, we're not going to exceed that. But I don't, like I said, I really don't want to turn people away who've done the right thing.
No,
So I amend my amendment to be now $10,000.
all right.
Okay, I accept the amendment.
All right, we're gonna get all this stuff out of Del Norte County, one way or the other. The right way, or, okay, I have any public comment? All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the staff recommendations and authorize up to $10,000 to host this one event, a single event for treated wood waste. Kara, would you poll the vote?
Commissioner Starkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Greeno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Chair and Score.
Yes. All right, the last of our open session items that we have on our agenda is 7.1 regarding in-person meetings. Director Ward.
So if the commissioners aren't aware, we are seeing a significant uptick in our COVID-19 cases. Currently, according to the Del Norte County Health Department, we've got 41.6% fully vaccinated, 6.9% partially vaccinated, and 51.5% with no vaccinations at all. We have 378 active COVID cases circulating in the community. 21 are hospitalized, and my understanding is we have 25 beds. In the last 14 days, Del Norte's per capita cases have increased more than 500%. So in consideration of all these things, I would recommend that we not meet in person next month, but follow the board's direction. The board previously has said our first in-person meeting will be next month.
The update I got from Dr. Patel this morning was that the hospital census this morning was at 32 COVID patients. So we're continuing to see this surge impact our healthcare system. So,
And I did hear that we have another death too. So I mean, it's really so much more. I'll just say with regard to this subject is that the Board of Supervisors is meeting in person. And I believe that we're going to continue to meet in person. That's what our chair would like to do. And I think the rest of us are fine with it. We do have, I'll tell you my concerns, is our concerns are not for us necessarily as a board, but for the public coming in. We don't get to control or mandate whether or not they're vaccinated, whether or not they stay 6 feet apart, whether or not they even choose to wear a mask. So the responsible thing, I mean, we don't have a big audience here, but the responsible thing is that we have to think about people outside of ourselves. So if I were to lean one way or the other, I will say that I support the Board of Supervisors being in person, and that's fine. I will work with that. But if we're leaning a direction, it would be to remain online so that we are keeping people safe who may wish to attend.
okay, anybody else?
I think Kira's just finally getting the hang of doing these online like this. So I think it would be terrible to just pull the rug out from under at this point. And I personally feel that it is the responsible thing to do to continue as long as there's any reasonable doubt about that, the possibility of causing anyone to either get sick or possibly die. Yeah, we're doing fine doing it this way. I don't have a problem at all doing it this way. So why take a chance? That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Others?
As much as I would love to meet in person, I think we should probably hold off another month, maybe put a standing agenda item on our next agenda to revisit this. And yeah, I think that we should stay online for another month to see where this goes. In other places, this variant has tended to spike quickly and then drop off. I really hope that it follows that trend. There's no guarantees on that though. So
Okay,
that's where I stand.
Commissioner Short?
Yes, Chair. What we're seeing now with these Zoom meetings is actually an increase in participants in these public meetings. So I really don't see a downside. We've got the responsible part of it, and it's it's kind of a bane to have more public participating in our local processes. So I'm in favor of staying with the Zoom meetings or the online
Well, thank you. Yeah,
format.
I'm supportive of us remaining online. I will say that being in public with in closed spaces with people who refuse to wear a mask is not something I'm interested in. I don't know that I would have felt that way even a year ago, but I certainly do now. Uh, you know, and of course, right now, because of close contact, we're self-quarantining anyway, but you know, it just makes there's a heightened awareness. And obviously there's people who have strong feelings about that they don't need to wear a mask. And I guess if I can stay away from them, then that's fine. But it is something that is certainly that I'm more keenly aware of now than ever before. So I think that all of you, I agree with everyone's sentiments. I think that Commissioner Greeno, that's a good idea, that we simply leave this as a placeholder item and that we discuss it month to month and evaluate and try to make the best decision we can for everybody. And but you know, I think that waiting for another month is a good idea. So I don't
I
know
can
that,
consider that consensus direction since everybody's.
yeah, I think that everybody's fine with that. And we'll just make sure that we have it on our agenda in September, and we'll see where we are.
Okay.
That is the end of our open session items. We are going to go to closed session. You received a separate email from Kira for closed session. I will not ask all of you to necessarily come back. We do need to make a process for at least myself and staff to come back, legal counsel to come back and to report out if there's anything to report out after closed session. So for the public who may be could be tuning in, we will report out after we have closed session. We do not know exactly how long that will take, but we will do it appropriately. With that, then we are going to leave this meeting and log in, please, to the closed session Zoom link that Kira emailed you this afternoon. We'll see you in the other meeting.
I'll do the best I can.
Thank you. Hello.
Hey, it's good still picture of you. Look at those big blue eyes.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Andrew, how are you today?
I am fine.
Andrew, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
We saw you as the silent partner.
Hopefully we'll have an answer by tomorrow for the whole credit card stuff.
Right. But we are recording and it's still on the meeting time, so let's focus on the meeting.
Yes, understood.
All right, we are finishing up. We've come out of closed session. And our legal counsel is joining us. Martha, do we have anything to report out of closed session?
We do not have any actions to report out of closed session today.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate everyone staying with us, and we will adjourn until our next regular Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. And we are planning on continuing to be online. So thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, good luck with that. Thanks, Kara. Good job. So that meeting went well on the whole.